I'm going to make a series of videos and I'm going to discuss cruising. It's one of my favorite forms of travel. I've been on over 30 cruises and I've got a lot of experience, and so maybe I can pass some of my experience, answer some questions, because we get a lot of questions on our YouTube channel. So to start with, people always ask why I love cruising, and I think the biggest reason I enjoy it is the affordability factor. You're on a big floating 5-star hotel. You could be on there for 7, 10, 14 days. You're gonna go and experience new ports of call. And from an affordability standpoint, if you were to consider like doing all of those individual stops on your own, hauling your luggage around, paying for meals, paying for hotels, transportation, it would get pretty expensive. For example, like this is a video from when we did Florence and Pisa a few years ago. We did a European cruise. It was the second time I had personally taken a European cruise. It was the first time my wife went on a European Mediterranean cruise. And for us, it was like a great way, especially for her, to see a lot of places that she hadn't seen before. We started in Barcelona, we went to Monte Carlo, went to Florence, went to Rome, went to Venice, we went to Dubrovnik, we went to Sicily. It was a 14-day cruise. It was an amazing time. If you were to factor in, if you were to look at the expense of traveling to all those individual places, transportation, hotel, entertainment, it would have far exceeded what we paid for that cruise. The other thing about cruising that's nice, if you haven't been to many places, or if you haven't been to certain places, there's times when you think you're gonna love a place and then you get there and you're really not that impressed. And then there's other times when you really, really love something or love a location a lot more than you anticipated. And then you find yourself saying, okay, I could come back and I could spend some more time here. So it's a great way to get a little bit of everything, get a little taste of a bunch of different places, and really enjoy your time exploring new cities. One thing I'll tell you is that if you go on a cruise and you find yourself not enjoying it, a lot of times I find that people usually pick the wrong ship to go on. If you don't want to go on a Disney cruise if you don't have any kids. It just doesn't make any sense. And you probably don't want to go on a Carnival cruise in the middle of the summer or middle of spring break if you're an older, middle-aged couple looking to relax, because it's going to be a complete like party scene and it's going to be kind of a wild cruise at sea. So you really have to do a little research and find out what cruise ship, what cruise line makes the most sense for you. If you have kids, Disney is great. Disney is like one of the best cruise lines, probably the best cruise line you can go on with kids. It tends to be a little bit more pricey. Carnival is fantastic. Carnival is more affordable and they do an amazing job catering to kids. If you're a little older, a little more mature, looking for some like total relaxation, Princess has a small ship. I believe it's called the Pacific Princess. I think their crew to passenger ratio is like 1-to-1. If you want to take it a step above that, you can do like a Yachts of Seabourn. That's an amazing cruise line. Service is exceptional, but you're going to pay a little bit more. I mean, that's going to be a little pricier when it comes to cruises, but you're going to have an amazing time. The service is going to be unlike anything you've experienced on a cruise ship. So what I find is when people say that they usually didn't enjoy the cruise, a lot of times they might not have been on the right ship or been on the right cruise line. The biggest negative, and I can understand this negative, especially on some of the newer, larger ships, is I hear people a lot of times talk about how they don't want to be told when to get off the ship, when to get back on the ship, when to go to dinner, and that's totally understandable. So there are times when you can feel like you're at a port and you're only there for 8 hours and you feel like it's just not enough time and they're telling you got to be back on the ship. Yeah, those are things that are a little bit more difficult to overcome. If you like to go somewhere and spend more than, let's say, 8 hours, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. This is a video that we did when we went to Rome a few years ago. We had an amazing time. We actually planned this day in Rome ourselves. We did it in advance. We didn't do it with any shore excursions. We were able to get inside the Colosseum, inside the Sistine Chapel. We walked all around the the Forum, and we had an amazing day. Would we have liked to have more time in Rome? Yeah, it would have been nice to have more time, but it was definitely great getting back on the ship and being in, Monaco or wherever we were the next day. What I can tell you is that if you cruise on certain cruise lines more often, there's some benefits that really help make getting on and off the ship a lot easier, like having priority when you're going into certain ports. And that makes a big difference, especially when you're in a smaller port where you're using the tenders, the little boats. Having priority to get on and off of those boats can save you a lot of time and make things a lot easier. One of my favorite things about cruises are sea days, especially when you're on a newer ship. There's so many things to do on a ship that it's very, very easy to keep yourself entertained. So this was a cruise we did on Carnival a couple months ago. This was one of our sea days, and this was the time when Erica was a little tired from previous days, and Aiden and I were just exploring the ship and having a lot of fun. It was actually one of my favorite days on the ship. Favorite days of the whole cruise. One of the other things I really enjoy about cruising is formal nights. For me, I enjoy getting dressed up. It's nice to put on a tuxedo or a suit. You always have the opportunity to get professional photos, and that's something that is a lot of fun. I know Erica enjoys it, and this was the first cruise we took with our son Aiden, who was like 18 months at the time, and we had a great time. So this was actually one of the cruises we did like 5 years ago. Erica really wanted to have these professional photos done, the studio, and we got the canvas print. It was definitely more money than I wanted to expend, but the photos were great and it kept Erica happy. So this is an example of the professional photography that's available on a cruise ship. One thing I read in an article, and it was a negative article towards cruising. It was reasons why you shouldn't go on a cruise, and I found one of these reasons just idiotic. And the reason was that cruise ships don't have qualified doctors on these boats. And I can tell you that I think that's complete horseshit. I've been on many cruises, and there has always been a very capable doctor on that cruise. Now, if someone has a stroke and needs like attention that you would get like in a hospital, yeah, you need to get to a hospital. But I've seen cruise ships like bend over backwards and get people to where they need to be in life-threatening situations. For example, this was probably 10 plus years ago. We were on a cruise in the Caribbean, and there was the captain came on the loudspeaker and said, "We have a medical emergency. We're turning the ship around, and we're expecting to get a Coast Guard Jayhawk helicopter to do a medevac." And we were like 300 miles off the coast of Key West in Florida. And the cruise came to like a rather slow, steady pace. And an hour later, a Coast Guard helicopter came in behind the ship. This particular ship didn't have a helipad. They dropped a basket. They put the person on the basket, and they evacuated him to a hospital in Florida. I can tell you that cruise ships do a pretty damn good job of caring for people and doing the best that they can to get people back to the care or hospital that they need. And then I know that the person that was traveling with that particular person couldn't be evacuated in a hospital through the helicopter, through the basket. So the next day when we went to that port, the family left and caught up with that particular patient. Hopefully everything was okay. But I can tell you that cruises have extensive medical facilities on the ship, and if there's someone that needs more than what they can provide in care, they're going to do their best to get that person to the hospital. I know one thing that Erica, my wife, really loves about cruises are the casinos. Every cruise ship has a casino, and some of these new ships have rather large casinos. And I know that Erica spends a lot of time in the casino. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of the casino. The only thing that I will play occasionally is craps. But other than that, you can spend a lot of time playing a lot of different games and machines in a casino on a cruise ship. And they actually do comp you, depending on how much you play. Another thing that is fantastic about cruising is the entertainment. You know, you have Broadway style shows, you have comedy clubs, you've got all types of entertainment. You know, if you're on a sea day and the weather is great, you're gonna have games by the pool, you're gonna have water parks on some of the new ships, you know, rock climbing. There's just so much to do. And there's so many things to keep you busy. And that's the thing that I love about cruising too, is because you can do everything or you can do nothing. And it doesn't matter what you want to do. Whatever you desire, you're going to be able to do. If you want to get involved with everything, like going to the shows and dinners and dressing up and taking photos, you can do all of it. And if you want to just relax and stay in your cabin and have you know, room service provided into your room or on your balcony, you can do that as well. You can do whatever the hell you want. That's what's great about cruising. Last couple items. One thing that's great about cruising now with technology and social media is the ability to connect and make new friends, new relationships. I've been on a few cruises and I still keep in touch with several people, quite a few people from particular cruises that we've gone on. With some of the Facebook groups or message boards that you'll find online, you can find and track down the particular group for the cruise that you're going to go on, and you can make plans and arrangements and kind of meet people online in advance. And then you can do, usually those groups will have like a kind of a meetup the first day of the cruise where you can actually meet everybody. And when you know people, when you get on a ship and you immediately know like 20, 30, 40 people, it's going to make the rest of that cruise a lot more enjoyable and a lot more fun. And if you don't want to participate, then you don't have to participate. You can just sit in your cabin and just do whatever you desire that's going to make you happy, because it's your cruise and you can do whatever you want. One of the last things I really, really enjoy about cruising is the entertainment for kids and the programs that keep them busy and give parents a little bit of a break. For example, we took a cruise a couple months ago and Aiden was 18 months at the time. We didn't have our second child, but we were able to drop him off at the babysitting almost every night. We didn't do it every night, but I think on like 4 of the 7 nights, we took advantage of the babysitting available on Carnival. And I believe you can do babysitting at a fee. I think it's like $6.75 an hour plus gratuity, which is 15%. And you can drop them off, I believe, at 6 or 7 p.m. and pick them up as late as like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. We didn't do it every night, but we did it a few nights, and it was great because it allowed us to go to the shows and go to the casino, go to the comedy shows, and really have fun. The first night, Aiden really wasn't eager to go, but I can tell you the second night, he had no problem. We dropped him off and he really had a blast. He really, really enjoyed it. So that's one thing, especially with Carnival, they do a great job with kids. That's one thing to consider. It makes cruising a lot of fun when you can keep the kids busy and have a little bit of time for yourself. So that's it for now. That is a summary of what I love about cruising. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I didn't cover. I'm sure there's plenty of questions. If you have a particular question about a cruise or taking a cruise, please leave a comment below. Ask your question. I'd be more than happy to answer it. Other than that, I'd encourage everybody to go on a cruise. Try it once. If you don't like it, the hell with it. Don't do it again. One tip I can give you if you're going to go on a cruise is to sign up for a particular website like Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Princess, and then compare those deals that you'll start to get emailed with sites like Vacations to Go. Vacations to Go is one of my favorite websites for cruises, and compare one to the other, and you're gonna be able to find some good deals out there. So hope you enjoyed this video, and hope everybody enjoys their next cruise, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.